All right, it's time for us to look at the newspapers this morning, and we will be heading first to Southern Africa, South Africa, with the Sowetan.
Yes, and of course, the big ones that you can see on the screen there, with regards to the story that we spoke about yesterday, 21 people that, of course, were found dead at a tavern. It says, back from the dead, smell of gas, and then all hell broke loose. And that's from a teen survivor of a tavern death. Herself, rescued among the dead, tells of horror of watching her friends perish as she too struggled to breathe. So yes, there has to be, further investigation because obviously something definitely went wrong in there. And also on the Sowetan, why Ronwen needs Downs switch. We can also find here, of course, on the Sowetan, melanin popping, Miss S.A. hopeful, cozy in her dark skin. Her name, of course, is Luanda Zuma, and she has, of course, her picture on the front page. You can also find it on page 8 of the Sowetan. Farming out of the box, literally, that's on page 9. And also, will bad boys tow Amazulu line? On page 23, you can find it on the Sowetan. And you maybe want to join the Celebrity Car Wars. It's right there also on the Sowetan at the bottom of the screen.
Do you think that's something you'd like to participate in? Car
Not
Wars?
with the kind of car that I have.
Well, we hope that a new one is coming. We speak a new one into your life. But yeah, I'm
definitely.
It's something that I would like to participate in.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
Well, I don't know what the Car Wars is about. I'm imagining it's like Formula One type of competition.
No, not necessarily. I think it might be that, but it might also really just be a display of luxury cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd like that part too, and then I'd like the racing bit as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, car racing, no, definitely. If that's what it is, 100%.
All right, let's head from Southern Africa to Nigeria, where we look at the Punch newspaper. On the front page, a big story says Supreme Court crisis. NBA wants ex-CJN probed. Ariwola sworn in. Workers demand autonomy on pages 2 and 3. Ex-CJN's probe necessary for justice administration, say NBA chapters. We've been vindicated. Justices are awake from slumber, says Jusun. And no allegation should be swept under the carpet, CSOs insist. At the top of the paper, we have fuel subsidy, refinery rehabilitation, gulp, 1.3 trillion naira in 5 months, says NNPC. And the story about the fuel subsidy and refinery goes on and on and on page 21. Still on the front page of the Punch, we have federal government rakes in over 2 trillion naira from marginal oil fields on page 22. And on page 14, Tinubu's men woo parties without presidential candidates, others. Interesting. On page 22 as well, Ekwere Madu, federal government probes organ donors data privacy breach. They're looking into the details of that. Proposed tariff hike may raise telcos' voice revenue to 1.56 trillion naira, says NCC. We're back again talking about proposed tariff hike. INEC registers 10.4 million new voters on page 8. So like Osalge said, do we have 84 million or do we have 90.4 million? So this 10.4 million, does it add to the existing 84 million figure that we had, or was that figure in calculation of this? Yeah.
Or was the INEC correct when they said 84 million in 2019? Because 84 million in 2019, 84 million in 2020. 2022, and yet we're talking about 10 million extra.
Yeah, and it's a little confusing because we're seeing a lot more people
getting registered,
participating in the elections this year than we did in 2019. So what exactly is the issue? Now this is a very interesting one. 306,489 tested positive for HIV in 2021, says NACA on page 15. I would want to ask Osalge when last he did a HIV test, but I won't do that on air. This is just a reminder to everyone to get tested and know their status. We say no to discrimination, but it's also important to get tested. On page 15, jam to probe CBT centers over extortion, threatened fine on page 4 and 5. 2 headers arrested for killing Lagos man over crushed cow. How is the life of a cow more important than the life of a man? Wow. On page 23, Ogun workers declare indefinite strike over unremitted deductions. Lagos developers defraud 70 house seekers. Victims faint on page 4 and 5. If you have not had the opportunity, or if you've not had to look for a house in Lagos, you are living on the bright side of life. First of all, house hunting in Lagos takes its toll on you. And I'm saying this as someone who has just recovered from house hunting, such that I even feel like going to my religious place of worship to share a testimony. Because you go through several things whilst hunting for houses in Lagos.
And then imagine getting scammed.
Then you get scammed. In fact, when I was about to pay for my house rent eventually, I went to go and check for the company registration on the what they call it. I went to go and check that they were registered, right? And then I went to the compound, spoke to some of the tenants just to be sure that, look, this name that I got, is this the same name? Because as much as I want to believe this person is not fraudulent, I'm not saying you are, but as a tenant, you have to do your due diligence, because there's so many fraudulent people seeking to defraud unsuspecting victims. So please, if you're house hunting, go the extra mile, do your due diligence, do not be in a hurry, because in the process of being in a hurry, you might end up regretting the choice that you made. That's all the story that I'm taking. Okay, finally, Amotekun orders should transform to state police, says Afenifere. That's on page 8, and that's all the stories we're taking on the Punch newspaper.
All right, still in Nigeria, the Daily Independent comes up next. And we have here how Supreme Court justices forced CJN Mohammed out of office. Where, of course, I think we have a story to share on that report, sometime today. Just, quick discussion on it. Of course, outgoing Chief Justice of Nigeria who resigned. It says here, Buhari swears in Anwola as acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, confers National Award on ex-CJN Tanko Mohammed. And I think I have, I may share that tweet sometime this morning. It says also, new CJN denies division among justices of Supreme Court. NBA asks acting CJN to rebuild confidence in the judiciary. Lawyers urge EFCC to arrest, investigate Justice Mohammed. All right. Nigeria edging closer to winning the war against drug abuse. Will strengthen SEC to reposition Nigeria's capital market, says the federal government. And also, Chief of Defense Staff faults Zamfara government over guns for residents. If you remember, he was quoted a few days ago of saying that the House of Assembly should, make laws to allow Nigerians carry weapons in order to protect themselves for, against bandits and terrorists. Akeredolu supports Matawale on guns for residents and state police. And also, Nigeria's aviation industry may face bleak future, says Nanta. Police parade suspected killer of armed Ahmed Gulak, I beg your pardon. Also, Catholic communicators raised the alarm over incessant killing of priests. If you remember, a few days ago, there was reports of a priest that was also killed in Edo State. Southern Middle Belt leaders decry rising insecurity, ask federal government to act fast. That's on the top right corner of the screen this morning. Some people are for, gun laws and enabling Nigerian citizens, buy and own weapons to protect themselves.
I mean, that's a conversation that we probably should take to the streets and ask people what they think.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, what it primarily reflects is the fact that people have lost a trust in the government. They've lost trust in their government's ability to protect them, which is why they would, in the first place, support gun.
And it's also, we can't also take a risk like that if we don't have good enough policing to curtail the exuberance that might come with people having guns, around them.